Hey beautiful souls, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason because the universe tries to guide us along our journey. And one of the ways that the universe guides us is by drawing attention to the wound that's in us right now that needs to be healed so that we can move on, because it's affecting us right now where we are in this moment. So beautiful souls, we've been talking about the ego recently and healing the ego and stepping out of the ego and coming in the heart space. And I believe that this was divine timing that this message occurred. Beautiful souls, welcome. So glad to have you today. I'm glad you could join in, and it's always a blessing to connect with you. If you're new to this channel, I'm Dani. Hi, welcome to the tribe. This is Heal What Ails You, the channel for healing, the channel for healing yourself, the channel for awakening the healer within you. Beautiful souls, before we dive into understanding how the universe is guiding us towards a wound that is surfacing, I'd just like for you to know that I have created a free guided meditation for you that's going to allow you to ground yourself and stay a little steady and comfortable during your healing journey. You can access that by going into the description and clicking the link below. Okay, beautiful souls, have you ever just had like maybe a week or two, this could also be your entire life, where the same situation keeps bringing itself up? And maybe you keep running into the same people or attracting the same types of people. Maybe you keep attracting the same type of energy or entering relationships and having the same issue reoccur. Maybe it's something as simple as having issues within your house or within your vehicle. So typically when this is going on, if it's repetitive, it's because the universe is trying to draw your attention to it like a big red flag and say, hey, you need to deal with this. And ultimately, it gives us all these little signs. But it's easy, especially at the beginning of this healing journey, to not be aware of those signs. Or maybe you're aware of it and acknowledge it, but it takes a big smack in the face to actually draw your attention and be like, okay, I need to deal with this. So beautiful souls, today I don't have a list of signs or ways that the universe does this. I just have a personal story, and it's about to get really deep. So before it gets deep, my father watches these videos, so I'd just like to say, Wayne, I love you, and I'm just using this story as a teaching tool and a healing tool. So please don't take this personally. All right, beautiful souls, today, what inspired this is I got that kind of wake up call, because I've been getting signs, but I haven't been acknowledging the signs or putting it together as this is a wound that is holding me back right now and that I need to work on. And that sign was me hitting my elbow, my left elbow, on my kitchen countertop, and I hit it on kind of that funny bone piece, and initially I was just like, shit, that hurt. But when I hit my elbow today, it drew my mind back to all these instances throughout the last 2 weeks that the story behind hitting the elbow was surfacing. So let's take you back a little bit. In my childhood, I don't know how old I was, maybe I was in first grade. I do know that. I was in first grade. And I was with my brother and my dad, and we had walked down to the local school and were playing on the jungle gym for on the weekend for a few hours. And there was this metal slide, and I was climbing up the metal slide, and my brother came down it at the same time. I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing, but initially when he came down, I got knocked off and I hit my right funny bone on the side of the slide, and it broke my arm. Now, it was painful and I was in tears, and my dad was just being my dad, okay? I'm not trying to point the finger and say that he's a bad person, or anything. So my dad essentially told me, like, in the story that I have in my head, to suck it up and that nothing was wrong with it. And I just remember, like, being in so much pain and sitting on the bench. He was upset that I was doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, so I had to sit on the bench and wait until my brother was done playing before we went home. So I sat there in what felt like eternity with this really aching arm and feeling in pain, but feeling bad about showing that. So we decided to go home, and we have this big hill to walk up. And I can remember asking him to carry me because just like the bumping from walking that up and down was really hurting my arm. And he told me no, that I had like 2 legs and I could walk myself. It may not have been like that, but again, the story that I've created in my mind. So when we got home, my mom's a nurse, and she initially, like, I'm walking through the driveway and she's looking out the door and she's like, "Oh my gosh, what happened? Your arm's broken." After he had told me it wasn't. He's not a nurse though. So essentially what this did was instill in me that I had to be tough and that I shouldn't show emotion and I couldn't be vulnerable. Did he know that he was instilling that in me when this scenario happened? No. But like ultimately that is what occurred. So for all my life I have had issues with that. Like, people don't see me cry unless like I'm pushed to my absolute max, and it normally takes lots of anger to make me cry. Now, over the last 4 years, since 2016, I've been really working hard on trying to be vulnerable and open up my heart space and welcome in love and healing wounds and all that jazz. And I've done really well at it. So let's bring you back, now that you have the backstory, let's bring you back to my last 2 weeks. So about a few days before Christmas, I had a present in my hands for my boyfriend, standing in the kitchen with him, and I was trying to hide it so I could get it through the hallway and him not see it. And he kind of saw what it was and was like, "Let me see," and was chasing me. And I had wet shoes on, and like when I came around this corner in my hallway, I just busted ass, absolutely busted ass. And he hollered and asked if I was okay. And I was fine, nothing was broken, but it did hurt, and it also hurt my pride a little bit. But I giggled and even said, like, I'm gonna do the typical Dani thing and like hold it in and not cry, when really that's what I wanted to do, was sit on the floor and cry because it hurt. So like word vomit, like just literal word vomit out of nowhere, this came out, "Oh, I'll just hold it in because that's what I was taught from my father when I broke my arm, was to hold it in." Now, I haven't talked about the arm scenario in years, but this came up when I fell. So that right there should have been my red flag that I'm still dealing with that. But I didn't think that I was holding on to it. Like, I thought I just was talking about it, but the fact that I was talking about it meant I was holding on to it. So anyway, I went about my business. So fast forward 2 days later, I'm having Christmas dinner with some girlfriends, and we're talking about ancestral baggage and wounds that we are holding on to that were created from parents and former life and all that. And yet again, I brought this story up. So that's twice now in like 48 hours that I have brought this story up when I haven't spoken about it for so long. Fast forward to a few days ago, and I had a Reiki session with a client, and the client's intention was set as anger. And I mentioned to her that she could have potentially feelings of release for up to 72 hours after the healing session. Because as what I know that up to 72 hours after a Reiki session, when I am a vessel of Reiki to another person, I normally see the issues that I need released within 72 hours. And these issues also go with that intention. So literally today had been 72 hours since that healing session where she set the intention for anger, to release anger. Now when I hit my funny bone on my left arm, I felt anger. Not only did I feel anger, but it immediately drew me back to being that little girl and breaking my right elbow, to all those issues from the scenario with my dad of having to be strong and not being able to be vulnerable and not being able to show emotion. Does that make sense? So when this happened, I knew that, okay, there was some anger that I need to let go of. But let's look at how that anger is holding me back in my life. So anger is essentially in the ego, right? So that means that 1, I haven't forgiven my father. 2, I haven't forgiven myself from not being vulnerable, from the ability to not be vulnerable, even though I've been working on it. And how does that present into my life right now? Well, right now I've been struggling with myself internally because doing these videos are hard. Like, I feel called to do it and I know that Spirit wants me to do it, so I'm trying to step up here to the plate and do it. But ultimately, this is me being really vulnerable. I'm showing you who I really am and are announcing it to the world. Now, yes, I'm doing this because I know somebody will benefit from this, but that doesn't make it less scary. And essentially, me telling this story is super being super vulnerable, because I'm letting you in on my shadow side. You're seeing that deep part of me and what has formed me. So, beautiful souls, the idea behind this video is that you're able to see how connecting the dots can allow you to understand what wound needs healed at this current time and how that wound is affecting you. So essentially, I want to be more open and I want to be vulnerable. I can't do these videos without that. And so if I'm getting in my head and being angry with myself because I'm kind of having issues with that, or if I'm closing out and not really wanting to show you all that deep sense of this healing work, then I can't do it, right? I can't do it to how Spirit needs me to do it. So, I hope that this gives you an idea of how to connect the dots. So maybe next time something happens, think about how is that making me feel? Is that making me feel like a past life scenario, like something that's happened previous in my life? Is it reminding me of another person? What is that feeling in general? And how is that feeling right now affecting me? So now what do we do about it? Well, now that I'm aware of this wound, then I can do some healing work. I've already done the Reiki because I had the Reiki session last week, so that was awesome. That was what was bringing that to the surface. So now I'll do a simple releasing activity or ritual, whatever you want to call it, ceremony. And beautiful souls, I'm actually going to video that ceremony too, so that you can see how to take a practical step to forgiveness and releasing these wounds. Beautiful souls, I hope this brings you some type of guidance as to how the universe really tries to bring our attention to what we need healed. And just know that, you're not in this alone. We're in this together. I'm here with you, still dealing with it. I told you I'm here with you. So beautiful souls, until next time, there's nothing but love and light here. Nothing but love and light.